All right, I'd like to call this first public hearing for fiscal 2025 municipal and wastewater budgets. Madam Clerk, may I please have a roll call?
You may. Councilor Danforth. Here. Councilor Dume.
Here.
Councilor Higgins.
Here.
Councilor Mackin. Here. Chair Mador.
Here.
Councilor McGowan. Here. And Councilor here.
Here.
Would you all please stand and remove your hats and join us in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. I see there are no adjustments to the agenda, no special presentations, so we'll move right into new business. This will be the first public hearing, order 67-2024. Councilor Demay, will you please read order 67-2024? Certainly. You are right there, sir.
Order number 67-2024. It is ordered that the Millinocket Town Council enter into public hearing for discussion of the FY 2025 municipal and wastewater budgets.
Second.
Motion made by Councilor Demay, second by Councilor Higgins. Any discussion from the council? From the public? Back to the council. All those in favor? It's unanimous. All right, just to let people know, get a few ground rules in here. This is a public hearing. And no person shall be permitted to speak or testify before the town council unless that person has signed his name and written his residential address thereafter on a sign-up sheet provided by the town. No person shall be permitted to speak before the town council at a public hearing until such person has been recognized by the chair. No, all public hearing proceedings shall be recorded electronically and stenographically, and all persons speaking at such public hearing shall speak before a microphone in such a manner as will assure that the recorded testimony or remarks will be accurate and trustworthy. At the commencement of the public hearing, the town council shall establish a time limit to be observed by all speakers. The speaker shall not be interrupted, by members of the town council until his time limit has expired or until he has finished his or her statement. At the conclusion of the speaker's comments, each town council member shall be recognized by the chair to be allowed to question the speaker, and the speaker shall be limited to the answers of the questions asked. Any person not conforming to these above rules may be prohibited from speaking during this public hearing. Should any person refuse to comply with such a prohibition, they shall be removed from the room by order of the chair. So just moving forward, I'd like to find out from the council speaking time for the speakers, 3 minutes. Does that sound fair and adequate? Okay, so there'll be a 3-minute time limit for people addressing the council as we move forward in this. Mr. Manager, ball's in your court.
Fantastic. I hope that's a pickleball. It's the only one I'm good with these days. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and share my screen. We'll get the budget projected on the wall. I think everybody in the room that wants one has one at this point. So, my plan is to actually, much like our workshops, I will do wastewater expense, wastewater revenue, wastewater capital. And then we'll go into the general fund. We'll do expense, revenues, capital, in that order. Well, we can do capital at the same time going through the expenses, I guess, because they are expenses, but I do have that document we were missing last week that outlines specific projects we're looking to take care of in the capital plan for this next year. So wastewater expense, Page one. We have wastewater administration. The total difference in wastewater administration is $10,300. The total department budget is $108,400. Any specific questions in this department? And that project.
Are there any questions from the council?
All I have is the general.
Yeah, they weren't in our. But we didn't.
Yeah, and the
put it on
revenue.
last one.
Do you have one?
There are no changes
on
in
this
it
side.
from last.
Nobody on this side does. I was gonna say, I'll share mine with you,
Okay.
and we share mine with you, but that doesn't give opportunity for the councilors down there. Okay,
No, so we didn't make a new packet.
okay,
You good?
all right.
Okay.
So any suggestion, any comments from the council on this line? Or anything from the public? All right, let's move on. Oh, certainly. I'm sorry, Bruce. Name and address, please. Name and address, please.
Okay, Bruce Levitt, 72 Gavin. My question. In price for the increase in administrative costs. Legal service. $8,000. The administrative cost. Legal. There been any problem? You need
Administrative here.
So that, I can answer that if,
Okay,
so Bruce, that, the admin costs, I think you're talking about, line 1104, with the $8,000 increase.
Correct.
That's actually, that's paid to the general fund to make up for the time that the clerk's office, spends on the administration of the wastewater billing. For that, we've noticed that chews up quite a bit of time, over the course of the process, and the previous rate didn't really, make up for the work that goes into it.
Okay.
So that actually, you'll see that as a revenue, reflected on the general town budget on the clerk's office revenue.
Okay, and
You went-
1114, are there problems that were increased? Those-
No problems really, but we have some major projects ahead of us with like the, for example, the main pump station upgrade that's taking place over the next year. So we have some additional services related to the bond for that and other kind of project related legal costs.
Okay,
For that.
fine.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
thank you, Bruce. Anyone else on this line? Seeing none, let's move on.
All right, this brings us to page 2, Department 2200 wastewater protection. This is our insurances, that we're required to have on, the property and the, vehicle fleet. So those rates have increased via our insurance company. Total of $4,656. For a total department budget there of $33,756.
Any questions from the council? From the public? Seeing none, let's move on.
We're on page 3. This is the fringe benefit department here. This is only used when someone is retiring and this is where they're mustering out funds get funneled through. So we have no expectation of that this year, so this department's blank.
Let's move on.
Page 4, 2400 wastewater operations. This bleeds into a second page a little bit here. The total difference we're looking at is $6,200. Oh, did I skip one? My apologies. It does not bleed into a second page. We are at a difference of $23,000 in the operations, 23,410. Total department budget there, $398,899.
Any council comment on this line? Down to the public? Yes, Mr. Levitt.
Generally, my question, just, to the managers, Bruce Levitt 70, would be if, when he's going through if he could explain, this would be line, let me see, why, line 1300 is so high, that are we looking at a superintendent, or why such a significant cost of 12,300? I can basically understand other lines, although with the town Malacca at one point was cutting back on the hospital insurance. You all know that's a significant increase, so seems we're paying a lot for that, but I'm kind of concerned about line 30.
Mr. Manager?
Yeah, so Mr. Levitt, that is, we're not necessarily looking for a new superintendent. We have a new superintendent in his leading into his second year. So in what we had to do was put that up to where it should be. Unfortunately, over the years, we had a great superintendent that was in that position for a very long time. And raises were not reflective historically of the actual cost of living or anything more than usually the 2% type of thing. So at this point, should we not continue with this 3-year process? This is the third of 3 years to adjust these salaries. We would be having to increase even something like $30,000 in one fell swoop to get a new superintendent. So, for example, our previous superintendent retired at roughly $60,000, a little more than that. And it would be absolutely impossible to replace a superintendent for a wastewater operation for that amount of money. So, this is one of the last positions in a 3-year process that's getting adjusted to reflect the going rate of a superintendent for that type of position.
Okay, I for myself, I think it was an increase, and if we look at after the 3 years, we're looking at significant increases. If we go back to the 2 or 3%, I think this should have been over a longer period of time. And I also, if I could, how's this going to reflect on poor Bill's cell? If this wastewater treatment plant.
My understanding, and forgive me, Mr. Manager, if I'm speaking out of turn, my understanding is this will have no effect on the sewer bill moving forward. The rate that is being charged to the sewer bill would be the same regardless of this line.
Yes.
Okay.
Anyone
And
else?
just to go a little bit further, if you don't mind.
No, certainly.
Because this may eliminate some future questions. So yes, this is the third of 3 years where I've been trying to re-regulate, a fair and current pay scale for all of the municipal employees. After this budget, in my opinion, we can go back to the standard that had been for many, many years, the 2%, 2.5%, whatever it had been. And that can be across the board, because at this point, we're, should this pass, we will be adjusted to a point where we are competitive, respectful, and attractive to anyone, I'd say, as far as Holton or Bangor area. So when we do have, of course, we're investing in who we have, right, to keep them. But should we have an opening, we're gonna get really qualified candidates, somebody we don't have to take and train and do that, For example, our new treasurer who came with an attractive salary for, 30 years of experience. So that's kind of part of the strategy going behind that.
All set? You're very welcome. Anybody else on this line? Seeing none, let's move on. It'd be pump stations, I believe.
Sure would. Page 5, Department 2500, wastewater pump stations. Looking at an overall difference of $6,200. Overall department budget here of $84,300.
Any council questions? Down to the public? Seeing none, let's move on.
This is Department 2600, wastewater collection. We are looking at a difference here of $3,400, total department budget, $34,200.
Any council questions? Public? Seeing none, let's move on.
This is Department 2700, wastewater debt service. We are looking at a decrease here, about $1,500. Total department budget, $215,434.
Any council questions? Adjustments? Anybody from the public? Seeing none, let's move on.
And this is the final page in the wastewater expense, 2800 wastewater capital improvement. We are we're looking at 158. That has placement of a truck. That has repairs to the slow runner vehicle that are necessary to keep that working. And then the interceptor line survey, that's the camera study that needs to be done on the pipe beneath Millinocket Stream at Granite Street Bridge, as we had discussed previously. So total department budget there, 158.
Any council questions? Public? Are we good?
Sure,
Okay, let's move
absolutely.
on.
All right, that's going to bring us to wastewater revenues. This is where we get to show some income. This is 2100 wastewater administration. Total department budget here. This is $1,086,000. That's showing a difference related to different grant proceeds or bonds that we had been working with in the past that are no longer included.
Council questions? Seeing none, count down to the public? Seeing none, let's move on.
We are now looking at Department 2200. This is for when we do insurance claims. You can see that hasn't been used since FY23. So we'll skip past that. Skip past the fringe benefits. Of course, that's for retirements and mustering out. Final page on wastewater revenue is 00. That's the pump stations. This is a single line item that shows the income we received from the RV dump station located behind the Chamber of Commerce building. We're looking at about $3,000 there. For total department revenues, big picture, 1,089,000.
Council comments or questions? Seeing none, down to the public? Seeing none, let's move on.
All right. I think we can go to the overview page. So this document, you do have this, correct?
Mhm.
Okay, good. This shows an overview, for those that are hearing or seeing for the first time. This shows an overview of the departments and just a quick glance of the total expenses in that department and then the increases or decreases. Those highlighted in gray were changes that were requested at the April 11th workshop. Those highlighted in yellow are changes that were requested at the April 4th workshop. And if we go further to the bottom, we have a comparison here of the end numbers regarding the tax raise. So the first number we have here is the town tax raise for, and that means the combined total of funds that we raise for taxes compared to our full budget. So the taxes raised in FY24 were $2,875,276. And the proposed budget as it is in its current format for FY25 is $2,978,416. That's a difference of $98,139. And that include.
We have 96,858.27. Yeah, this is the one from our packet that was delivered last night.
I also can't tell the difference between yellow and gray.
It's up there, but
Yeah.
it's not on here.
Oh, okay.
Probably can't see it.
Let's see if it's the same. Thank you.
Actually,
Apologies for that mix up. So that, in its current state, the budget shows a difference of $98,139.27. That does include $200,000 of the unassigned fund balance. I think that we will likely get into some discussions throughout this hearing tonight where we decrease that $98,000. I think we have some wiggle room to play with there as we've kind of discussed amongst ourselves a little bit. So I don't want everybody to get married to that number right now. We have intentions between this evening and next week's special presentation, special hearing to get that as flat as possible,
Make
which I
adjustments,
think
yes.
is pretty doable. So we hopefully we'll be looking at very little increase, if any.
Very good.
So
And any questions on the overview? To the public? Mr. Levitt?
yes,
Did you sign in, by the way, when you came in? If you cannot, you need to sign the thing before you can speak. Sorry. Yes, Mr. Levitt. Oh. Oh, one second. You can turn your mic on. There we go.
Line 27, I'm kind of curious when we get into that, whether anything's been included as far as Pines culvert that's been waiting for so long. I think those people in Pines deserve a little better unlock it than having to go around the other way, but that may be included further on in
Mhm.
27. I don't know. I think it should.
The Pines, oh, certainly go ahead, Mr. Manager.
I don't mind answering that.
Okay.
So all of the funding had been allocated to do that project. I think we're going on 2.5 years ago at this
Yes.
point. The only holdup was the availability of the specific culvert that needs to go in there. That culvert is sitting at American Concrete. It has been produced and paid for. So we're looking, that should be in the ground in July this summer. It has to be done at a certain time where the water levels are low enough to do it. But that should be done, I believe in July this year.
You're very welcome. Anyone else? Okay, certainly. Name and address, please. Here we go.
Thank you. My name is Lucian Dumay and I live at 10 Somerset Street, Knocket. So my question is for the tax raise, what are the benefits of it? And where does that particular tax raise go to for tax? And how would it affect living for residents in the town?
Well, obviously, any type of raise in taxes pays for critical services, fire, ambulance, police, public works, streets taken care of and things like that. Also to make sure that you have administrative staff here in the municipal building to take care of the needs of the public. It all goes together into one rather large pot to make sure that the public safety, public services are all taken care of, and that's where basically the tax dollars go. Some of them are eaten up in salaries and things for people who are supplying those services. But in the bottom line, that's in a nutshell where any tax raise or anything would go. Mr. Manager, if you want to chime in on it?
I just kind of wanted to back it up a little bit for those who may be, more new to this process than some of the others in the room. When we say tax raise, we don't mean necessarily that is the amount that's being increased over the previous year. Tax raise in these procedures are referred to as the total number of dollars that are collected from the taxpayers to go towards what we spend in the budget. What we're talking about in the difference of tax raise is that currently set at $98,000. That's the amount of difference from last year's tax raise or total collected to this year's tax raise or total collected. Does that
Yeah,
make a little more sense to you?
all right, thank you.
Okay, sure.
Thank you. Certainly.
To the last speaker, it's kind of like at home. If you need to raise $500 for your grocery bill, somebody needs to work for that grocery bill at home. And needs to come up to that amount of money that we figure that we need to feed somebody at home or feed the family at home. Do you understand how that works? Same, that's very simplified, but the same the town needs to do is come up with how much of an operating budget we need to fund everything that we need to do for the town. So we need to find a way to raise those monies. Money that's spent is called expenditures, and money that's taken in, earned, is called revenue. And we try to balance those out. So if that helps.
Thank you, Counselor. Anyone else? Let's move on. Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, certainly, Bruce. I'm terribly sorry. It's on.
I think it's, okay, and it may be,
I'm sorry. what?
and it may have to do with grants and stuff on snow sled ATV, the substantial increase in that. Would that be due to the grant or a big, increase in our budget? Plan that.
9 times out of 10, again, Mr. Manager, the grants are pass-throughs. And they reflect on the budget,
Yeah,
but they're pass-throughs.
okay. Want me to leave it off?
Why don't you leave it right on? Yes.
It'll eliminate some confusion. Yeah, with those ATV and snow sled ones, sometimes there's a small out-of-pocket cost for the town
Mhm.
as it passes through,
As
but
matched,
the bulk of it is grant funds that come in one side and go out the other.
Where are we off to now?
We are off to the wonderful world of the general budget.
Okay.
If we're gonna start on page 1. We're looking at general government. This is council expenses and administrative salaries, benefits. This is a overall difference of $38,398 for a total department budget, $412,015.
I'll start right off because Mr. Manager, I'd like to go ahead and take the council stipend line 10101 and where it's presently the raise was $15,000. I'd like to drop that to 10,000, reducing it by $5,000. This will make the this will give the 6 counselors on the council $1,400 a year and the chairman $1,600 for their raise. It will reduce the line from $412,015 to $407,015. And the adjustment will be $33,398. Yes. Do I have a
Second.
It's in second by Councilor McGowan.
Dan.
No, sorry, Danforth, I'm sorry. Any council discussion on the motion? While I understand completely Councilor Dumay's appreciation and his reasoning for where he set this, and I just feel that we should do this in increments. And so by moving this up $1,200 rather than moving it up by $6,200, we are better serving the public, plus giving the council a little bit of an adjustment. Anybody from the council want to comment? From the public? Yes, Mr. Levitt, the other Mr. Levitt. Name and address, please.
Scott Levitt, 330 Congress Street, Milwaukee, Maine. So looking at this budget, a lot of things I don't agree on, but I agree the council should stay at 15,000. I've worked with a lot of yous, I know what you go through. I'm saying a lot of other ones down here that's gonna be increased. I believe in my heart, you guys deserve 15,000. I figure it comes to 2,000 or something, I'm not
It
quite
would,
sure.
it
but
would be 2,000 for
it's been
counselors
it's been
and
a long
3,000
time.
for the
And
chair.
like I said, as Mr. Dume said, Council Dume, thank you. And, there's not a lot of popularity to run for that chair. Nobody wants it. I don't even want it, you know, as much as I'm here, I don't even want it. But I think you guys really, really, out of everything else in this town, deserve a raise. I believe 15,000 isn't nothing, but in the budget, because that's only $5,000 more, you know? Maybe my tax will go up 50 cents more, but I believe in my heart that you guys deserve it. That's all I've got to say. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Yes, Bruce.
And now for the opposing.
I was gonna go with shorter, but now I'll go with elder.
I am sure, but I got more hair, so.
For now.
You guys do a good job, I don't dispute that. A lot of it's volunteer, and I know how much work you guys did put. But I'll have to disagree with my younger brother. Maybe a little more mature, but, I think my understanding from what you said, Mike,
Yes.
is to spread that out
Over a number of years, yes.
over a number of years, which I'm fine with, but I think to kind of balance this budget out a little, but
Mhm.
that got fine. Not that I want to be in your place either. Someone.
Thank you. Anyone else? Yes. Oh, I'm sorry. Wait, let's Miss Sullivan. Go ahead.
Hi, Sandra Sullivan, 104 Sunset Drive. You do a tremendous amount of work. The 2 council meetings a month are just the tip of the iceberg. There are many, many meetings, many hours that you dedicate to this town. I don't think it should be done. It should stay up.
Now, Madam Clerk.
Diana Lakeman, Town Clerk. I just want a fun fact, 2002 and 2007, I believe, just recently saw that there were increases. So it has been just about 20 years, the council did have a reflection on an increase.
Tom Malcolm, 73 School Street. Never having sat on the council, but sitting on the school board for a number of years, I know the amount of work that's in this. And I know how much I see all of you around and what you're involved in and how much work you put into this. I think that is, you're talking this kind of budget, that kind of money, I think is well worth it. And as Diana said, it's been 20 years. I agree with Chairman Madore that should have gone in steps, but we haven't, with like a lot of other things, haven't been doing the steps. So I'm perfectly 100% behind. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Council Mackin? And as I said, my thought is to reduce this, not because I think that the like so many other things, I think the adjustment needs to come in steps. And I think taking it gradually to get up to where Counselor DeMay has stated that he thinks the should be to be equitable. It will take time, I think. I just don't want to do it all at once. Counselor Pelletier.
Given the amount of we're talking about, not worth the time we're taking to discuss it.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to call for a vote.
Oh,
The vote has been called. Is there a second?
I said you need.
Yeah, he needs a second for to call the vote.
Second.
Second by Counselor Higgins. All those, now, what are we voting on? Are we voting on the reduction or are we voting to keep it as is? We're voting on the reduction. All those in favor of reducing the line 0101 to $10,000. Show by hands. Those opposed? It does not carry. It stays in the line as it is with $15,000. Okay? Shall we move on?
I'm so excited for page 2. Page 2 of 62. All right. This one's blank. We don't use that this year, so we're gonna skip right to page 3. This is elections and registrations. We are looking at a decrease there of $1,187 for a total cost of $11,904.
Any council discussion or comment on this one? Anyone from the public? Seeing none, let's move on.
Can we pause and let the clerk
Certainly.
catch up?
Finished page one, there was just a discussion on a motion on the council line. There was a whole discussion on page on the thousand that the budget for that. But and no, the whole, just like we did wastewater, they did the totality of the five departments. They read the entire budget for that department of general government. He reflected this and then the chair. And it failed. So then they moved on and see. There was no other discussion on the rest of the lines. There wasn't any discussion.
Okay, yeah, you missed. Okay. All right, so Madam Clerk,
Chairman?
we can go back to page 1 if there are things that you would like to have discussed during that time. All right, let's go back, if we could, to page 1. Is there anything in particular that you wanted to have? Yes, certainly.
No, I thought when guys did the vote on the amendment.
Mhm.
That then it would come back, because after you do the amendment, before you, then it goes back to the page. That would have been my understanding. So I just want to
No,
clarify.
when the amendment failed,
Yeah,
then we revert back to what was originally in the budget, which in this
Right.
case would be the 15,000.
which then we would have gone on to further onto that page.
Further.
But that's
it-
all right, long as you're fine with it.
Is there anything particular that you want to discuss? on this?
Yes, although here I disagree with certain items, I think that, and I've gone over managers, increases. I think an increase, that amount, 13,544.
944.
Is significant. And I think that should be reduced, but like I said.
That is per the manager's contract. It's part of the
Okay.
5-year contract. That is per the manager's
Okay,
contract.
because I thought it was $5,000.
No, that is, no,
20,000.
no, this says per the manager's contract, base
Okay.
salary and
Okay.
extras that are in there, Mr.
I
Mayor.
don't mind providing a little more
Certainly.
context on that. So that's not,
Well, I
It's-
do understand your contract,
Sure.
but I think whoever drew your contract up missed something. But, with the contract, there's basically nothing we can say about that because that's set in stone based.
right. And so what happens with the way my contract was worded is that, yes, it does increase by $5,000 each January.
Yeah.
But it also includes cost of living increase. So what we actually end up with is a difference July 1 at one rate and then a difference January 1 at another rate. So it's not necessarily that same rate for the entire year. It's
Okay.
a little confusing. It's it's kind of a pain in some
No,
scenarios.
Mr. Jameson was a little smarter than whoever gone.
I have a funny story to tell you sometime.
Okay, anything else? Yes,
330 Congress Street, Mallock, Maine.
yep.
I too am confused about this contract. I've read it. Diane sent it to me. And plus the cost of living, I've talked to the manager. Can I ask him something for a minute?
Yes, you may.
Peter, I've got to ask you yesterday, is this today's standard or are you going by the cost of living?
Well, the actual cost of like national cost of living is quite a bit more than that, I believe. I think the average around the state right now is somewhere around 3 or 4%. Just given, there's some discussion on the town manager's listserv, when budgets come up, and we're all kind of chatting about who's doing what. We see everything from 2 to 7% on any given year in those discussions. So this 4% is the second year that the town's done it. However, it'll be the last year for quite some time that anything that significant is built into the budget.
On my research, the state of Maine was 2.54. And the Social Security, I don't know if that counts. Wow, that was 0.2. That's way higher than those two. But I'm looking at going to a cost of standard and like I said, on this contract, I don't understand it, because like I said, for him to get a $5,000 raise in cost of living, all other town employees have to have that cost. In the contract, there's some employees that were lowered on the wages, so just confused me how this is all coming about. Go by the cost of living, it's 3.2. This is way above it. That's all I'm getting confused about is the cost of living, today's standard. Where are we basing everything on? That's just, I don't have any problem with the wages as much as I'm looking at taking the base standard by looking at Portland and saying, wow, this is what this is. That is today's standard, but like 200,000. Look at another town, it's only 87,000. But I know I've looked and it varies from town manager. The lowest I've seen is 67,000. The highest I've seen is over 200 something. I'm just trying to get where you know, if you're using cost of living or today's standard. Because like I said, if you're using 4%, then others are getting higher than, it's just, you know, salaries, I'm not debating, but I'm just trying to see where
Hmm.
the calculation comes from. Thank
Okay.
you.
Thank you. Anyone else on anything in this department? Seeing none, let's move on. And I believe that we were at 0103 elections and registrations.
We were, and we are again. That is a decrease of $1,187. Total department budget of $11,904.
Any council questions or comments? Anyone from the public? Seeing none, let's move on.
Page 4, this is the town clerk's department, 0104. We are looking at a total difference here, $15,120. Total department budget of $291,288.
Any council comment? From the public? Mr. Levitt?
Bruce Levitt, 72 Roost Avenue, on 0104. I think that's a significant increase. I know she does a good job, excellent job. Does a lot of work, a lot of work. People realize, I think, I would just like to have a better understanding of $8,000, whether this is because of the trying, spreading that out over 3 years. I think with the way that the United States is going sometime, but like I said in my letter that some or and I'm not sure how many people are hired in town, probably 75, 80%. But these increases affect us all. It's kind of curious if that's a similar way of spreading that out, keeping. I know someone said they were adding a day, but I don't know whether the tax collector or whomever it was.
This increase,
Let's talk big pictures on salaries in general rather
Yes.
than, individual
Yeah.
salaries are more of a personnel discussion. And
right,
that's
and
really not on the
these are
table.
set by the manager, and I would definitely say that
Well, you have control of the bottom line.
then we do have control of the bottom line, yes. Yes,
Okay.
But- thank you.
He basically works with them,
Mhm.
and the only way you change that is to take something out of the bottom line.
Mhm.
I'm not saying necessarily
Okay.
take it out because she does a job. I'm saying on that amount of 100,000, I think was, or whatever it was, that the difference in that, should look at that.
Thank you.
The end, anyway, but you have control of that bottom.
Yes, we do. Thank you, Mr. Council Pelletier.
Yeah, I think one of the issues that's using some people here is the fact that the manager has taken a 3-year time frame, brings wages in line with market, basically, for his staff. And that's up, how he plugs the numbers in here, is totally, especially wages. That's kind of, we can't get in on discussion on what he wants to pay somebody. That's not our purview, that's his job. So we've accepted the method that he's done, and he's told us more than one side already that beginning next year will not occur in this way. So This is the
Oh,
last.
no, I'm not gonna allow conversation back and forth. If you want to address the council,
This is the last year of this kind of adjustment beyond what you consider a flat rate across the board.
Mr. Chairman,
thank you, sir.
can I, can I just offer that if we talk about salaries in every department as we move along, the answer is going to be the same
Mhm.
regardless of the department.
Right.
If anyone would like to have more of a discussion with me about my thoughts on that or my strategy or anything, I welcome you to come in and talk in my office or on the phone or, you know, however, my door's open. Manager at millinocket.org and 723-7000. I've got business cards right here. I'm always willing to talk about this stuff, but this venue at this time is really not the place to do that.
Thank you, Mr. Manager.
Please feel free to reach out though.
Any other discussion on Department 0104? Yes,
Tom Malcolm, 73 School Street. As a former department head of the town of Millinocket for a number of years, sitting through these for a number of years, I want to commend the manager for finally realizing that your leadership staff has to be paid. They have to be paid comparable wages. I agree with all of these raises. I don't see a thing wrong with. I realize it looks like a big step. When I looked at it myself, I said, oh, it's a big jump. But you got to realize we went a lot of years without doing that, and that's why we're in this predicament, as he has explained. Thank you.
thank you. Anyone else? Seeing no one, let's move on. Department-
This is the assessing department. This is Department 0104. We're on page 5. This, Mr. Levitt one, Bruce, this is the department you were referring to with the extra day a week. This is you'll see here that increase of $24,000 in line 0105. As we discussed in the workshops, this is a 1 year cost. It's just one extra day a week, and that is to tackle some very special projects like a revisit of our comprehensive plan, more updates in that office, TIF discussions, that will go a long way, and save us, the cost to bring in a consultant to do that work that may not even be as skilled as our assessor to do that, could be $50,000 or more. So this is a pretty creative strategy to get all that done in a year, with this 1 year increase that will go back to the normal rate for FY26. So that being said, the total difference in this budget, this department is $45,337. The total department budget for assessing is $141,937.
Any council comments or questions? Public? Certainly. Don't fight each other to try to get there. We have time.
Bruce Levitt, 72 Roost Avenue. Again, I apologize to the council and to Louis for going back.
No, it's fine.
I know, but, well, it is fine?
Mhm.
Okay, I'll remember that.
No, not to go back.
Yeah, okay,
Yeah,
okay,
it was fine that one time.
okay, yeah. It's hard to get used to it. No, again, she does a good job, through,
We can't talk about individual performance.
no,
In these
well, no,
discussions.
well, okay, I apologize.
Yep. The manager basically gave the description of what is going to be included this year for 1 year.
I
For
understand.
why she has the increase and then it will go back down.
But through the chairman, town manager, I would say that primarily this is the place to discuss.
Yeah,
No, I'm talking about not the position or the person itself, but the amount in the budget itself. I know the manager basically does,
sets the salaries, yes.
sets the salary,
Mhm,
but I'm
yes.
not saying that, but what I'm saying, like I said before, the council can set bottom line as to even, you can't say that he deserves, or they deserve a less rate, but you can say that, you'll go a couple, excuse me, $5,000 out of the bottom budget, or 15,000 or $30,000 out of the bottom of the budget. So you do have a say essentially in the whole budget, where that comes from,
Mhm.
that's your decision and the town manager's decision. But I do have the right as a resident of Millinocket and to discuss this line item because it is for the budget. And I just want to say that whether I agree with the first line or not, I do have that right privilege.
Mhm.
to speak
That's
that
correct.
before
Yes, you do.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. Anyone else?
Paul Levitt, 330 Congress Street, Montauk, Maine. With this position, I see that it's only, this 24,000 some, only for a year.
Yes.
So we're including an extra day in this position, get things done. And, the only thing I'm missing is is the position not being given a raise? I know it's 24,000 for the day, but are we leaving, because next year, it's gonna be back to 38,000. So is that gonna go with standards that we're setting today, so that position don't get behind if we need an assessor?
Mr. Manager?
So this, that line is reflective of one additional day combined with the 4% increase. So once this year is over with and we go back to the normal time allotted to the position, it will be the regular hourly rate that this is broken down into, plus whatever we do for an increase next year.
Okay.
May that be 2%, you know,
Okay,
just
but
for,
she'll get 4% this year. When you go back to where this 38,000, will it increase to 4% this year, then next year should go back to normal? Think, you know what I'm saying? I'm just saying.
Yes.
Is she missing out on the raise this year?
that position is not missing out on the raise.
Okay,
No.
that's all I was just wondering,
Nope.
because I didn't, I feel that that wouldn't be fair, because we
Mhm.
put 20 for another day. It should be fair that that position should get another 4%.
I understand.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Yes.
72 Rooster Avenue. I'm not sure, and I was just thinking that, the position is an important one in this town. We've seen it especially over the last 2 years and what's going on this year. If it would be good for the town, and I don't know, you know how much we're positioned up. If it's probable to keep the person on 4 days rather than go back to the 3 days next year, that may be something you discuss next year, but I think.
I would think next year would
I,
be the
I would
opportune
think it'd
time.
be good to keep her on 4 days.
That would be something that would be negotiated between the assessor and the manager.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, yep, certainly. Anyone else? Seeing no one, let's move on.
All right, page 6 of 62. We are at 0108 municipal building. We are looking at a decrease here. Really?
30,466 or 446?
Oh, yes, because of the elevator maintenance, yes. We're looking at an overall decrease of $30,446. And a total budget for the municipal building of $112, $112,284.
Yes, Counselor Danforth.
Excuse me. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I have a quick question. So there's a great decrease on the elevator maintenance. Does that mean that it's been fixed and we're just going back to the normal amount in there in case something arises? Is it taken care of? I know we had issues with it.
So a lot of the increase, or a lot of that, what was it, 38,000 that is reflective of last year was not in the original budget for that year. However, it was added throughout the year for all of the extensive work that had needed to be done. So we do have the funds allocated mostly through grant funding to do the modernization of that elevator. Scheduled for, I think, late September, maybe early October. So we are expecting to spend a lot less in repairs because the whole system will be modernized by the end of the summer, early fall. And once that's done, I sure as heck hope we don't
Oh, yeah.
spend anywhere near that on maintenance in the future.
I'll say, thank you. Anyone else from the council? Public? Yes, Mr. Levitt.
Can we just give him a microphone?
Doesn't bother me. Yeah, I could talk all night. But we won't do that. I had a curious question. I know they put the heating pumps in, this last year?
Yes,
Diana needs
They're-
documentation of name and address.
yes,
Oh,
we need
sorry,
to.
Bruce Levis.
Thank you very much.
I've been up here so much.
Mhm.
I was wondering, when they put the heat pumps in, as compared to the oil, whether if they've done a comparative balance as to whether the heat pumps have helped out or they've zeroed out, or if there's any.
I don't think, in all fairness, I don't think probably the time that the heat pumps are put in, there hasn't been an adequate time
Okay.
to do a comparison yet, to see how much has been saved.
Yeah, we do, it's so recent, we would need a full year to really compare
Okay,
it.
I was just wondering what we're going.
Okay.
They did increase the electricity rates shortly after that, so.
Right. the oil. Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else? Let's move on.
Page 70109. This is our audit. This is what we expect to pay to have our necessary federal audit done for FY24.
Council questions or comments?
The, what we're expecting is $25,000.
Council Devane?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Manager, is that because that's what their fee is going up by 5,000?
That is what we're expecting. Looking at trends, we have not been given a final number by the auditors as of yet.
That's it? Anyone else? Public? Let's move on.
We are
Page 9?
moving down to page 9. This is legal expenses. We're showing a decrease of $25,000 for a total budget of $50,000. I think we can safely trim that back a little more, given our trends with legal spending, the last couple of years. You know, I may be, I may suggest that we come back next week with $40,000 there. And I think that would be plenty to get us through the next year at the rate we're using this, you know.
Mr. Chairman, does he need a council motion for that? Cause I was just gonna suggest that.
If you would, then that would be fine. Then we
Mr.
could
Chairman,
go
I'd
ahead.
like to make a
Feel free.
motion that we reduce the line 4003 legal services, $40,000. Thank you.
Second.
Motion made by Counselor Dume, second by Counselor Higgins,
Let's reduce it to 40,000,
to
right?
40,000, not by 40,000.
Sure.
To 40,000.
Yeah.
I apologize.
It may have just been quiet.
Okay, so that will move that legal services line from 50,000 to $40,000. Any discussion? From the public? Back to the council, all in favor? It's unanimous. It moves down to 40,000.
All right.
Shall we move on?
Love it. Page 10, this is 0112 administration. We are looking at a difference of $8,220. Total department cost here of $93,405.
Any Counselor Dume?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Could you please explain why the increase of council expenses on line 1630, please?
That number is there because we collectively are interested in replacing these
Microphone.
awful microphones that we've all been using and hating for years. However, I think that I have some space to take care of that purchase in this year's budget, so I would certainly welcome a decrease there.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd like to entertain a motion to drop the line of 1630 by $3,000. Sorry, to
By
the
2024,
2024 budget of $500. Dropping it down $2,500, reflecting a ending balance of $500.
Second.
All right, so the motion is made for line 1630, council expenses, to reduce the $3,000 that was initial to $500. Okay, dropping it by 2,500. Okay. Any council discussion? Oh, sorry, it was seconded by Counselor Higgins. You're very welcome. Any council discussion on the motion? Public? Back to the council. All those in favor? It's unanimous. All right, anything else in this department? For the council? How about the public? Seeing no one, let's move on.
This next department is the town revaluation, which is in process. All of these funds have been allocated in previous years. This expense does not affect the FY25 tax raise. This is just what we're expecting to pay out from those funds in this next year. We are looking at spending about $87,000 to hopefully finish up that project in the next year. There is a balance remaining that we have to use on that. It will likely be implemented for the data entry side of that. So you may see an adjustment requested further into the fiscal year, depending on the progress of the listers.
Thank you.
But again, not affected by the tax raise.
Okay.
Or does not affect tax rate.
Any council comments or Counselor Higgins.
Yes, Mr. Manager, just a quick question for the public on the temporary assessing services. Because they're gonna see the worker compensation, unemployment. So they're a temp service or did we hire a company to do this?
We hired individuals onto our payroll to do this temporarily.
Thank you. I just wanted to clarify for the public.
Thank you. Anyone else from the council? From the public? Seeing no one? Let's move on.
Ooh, planning code development 0114. We are looking at a decrease right now of $16,996. We expect to decrease that. Is this where the main person is out? We will we'll be removing the main purse line from that, so that'll adjust that slightly between now and next week. In this current presentation, that budget is $49,555.
With the idea that that line will be adjusted again once the main PERS are dropped.
It would be zero.
Okay? Any council?
That's a difference of $3,400, $3,480.
Okay. Any council comment? From the public? Seeing none, let's move on.
Brings us to page 13. This is titled Economic Development 0115. This is reflection of the television, local television pass-through funding, some economic development funding, and then, other pass-throughs for grant expenditures. I'm gonna be looking to decrease this line 3778 by $20,000 to $30,000. I'm looking for some thoughts from counselors on that.
I am going to offer to a motion to reduce that line by $20,000, bringing it back down to 50,000. The reason being that I think, and after having consultation with the manager, that since 50,000 was the carryover, I think for 1 year we can go with just the 50,000 that was there, drop the adjustment that was offered before and the thing, and go from there. That would reduce the 2025 initial to $82,480. I'm seeking a second.
Mr. Chairman, before that, can I add something?
Certainly.
Thank you. Just something entertaining before you get seconded. I would like to propose, because we had discussion that the benefit of Cat TV and the citizens of Millinocket that enjoy Cat TV and get their information from Cat TV, we had discussed that possibly that they could use some more funding. I would like to decrease the same line that you just discussed by $25,000 instead of $20,000. The manager alluded to up to $30,000. So what I would like to propose is decreasing that by $25,000 and raising the 1533 line to $15,000. That would be what I would like to.
I think that would be 17,000.
Mhm.
Are you suggesting to add the 5 to the
I
12?
want to increase it up to 15,000, so that it would be an
Okay.
additional 3,000. Because that's what we had kind of just, sorry, I shut this off. That's what we had kind of discussed is what they would like to be at and what would serve the citizens of Millinocket better at $15,000, increasing 1533 to by $3,000 up to $15,000 and decreasing line 3778 by $25,000, leaving it at 45,000.
Sure. I would remind the counselor too, that the funding for CAT TV does not come from the town of Millinocket. It comes from Beeline. And Beeline pays us or pays CAT TV $6,000 twice a year. We are merely the pass-through for that money. And to start now throwing or putting money in from the municipality before we talk to Beeline again, as far as seeing if a raise could be, it was originally was $5,000 twice a year was CAT TV. It was negotiated to come up to $6,000, which gives us the current $12,000. That was funded from Beeline. So my thought is that before we do anything to raise that line, we have a discussion with CAT TV, with Beeline again, to see if they would be willing to then go ahead and bump it up to, which would be $7,500 twice a year for a public access channel.
Correct. And
Because we have never charged them for using the polls in the town of Millinocket. And that was part of the original agreement, was to provide the access channel and to provide the funding for CAT TV to operate within the town of Millinocket. Rather than take it out of the economic development account, I would prefer that we have a discussion with Beeline first to see if that money can come from the contract that we have with Beeline Cable.
No, correct, and I am aware of the contract and I am aware how it works, but this would give the manager room to negotiate in a new contract. If we do put it in the budget, then we're gonna be taking it somewhere down the road out of unassigned fund balance, if it's successful.
If you take it out of the budget now without having the discussion first, what would be the incentive for Beeline to then go ahead and put money in? It's already there. Yes. No, I'll go with Council Pelletier first, then Council Danforth.
I want to make it clear, you call it pass-through as if it's not our money. That contract does not mention any provider of that service. It gives the town the money, so therefore it's ours. We decide which way to go with it, what to go with it. If we add money, you're right, it might seem a little counterproductive if you want to go and debate for a higher amount from Beeline. I'm thinking, let's increase it a bit to show that we got skin in the game. And you know, it's gonna cost more than what we're gonna put in there to deliver a quality service anyway. And well, that's my thinking. We should put some in there now anyway.
Council Danforth.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. First of all, it's no longer Beeline, right? It's Spectrum, so
It's
we'd be working,
Spectrum now.
we'd be working through Spectrum. And I know I had previously been on the board for CAT, for KET TV, and I know, like, we had to suspend like 3 months because we didn't have enough funding for it. This increase, until we know what it actually costs for them to be here, the $3,000 might not be enough, I'm not sure. But I would like to go ahead and put that in there. I agree with Councilor Pelletier as far as skin in the game. And if our citizens really look forward to that we need to invest in that. But yeah, we need to find out what the cost is actually to have them here the whole year as opposed to having to take time off. I would like to have some numbers.
Okay, so basically, we have two proposals. One proposal is to reduce line, neither were seconded, that's right. So,
We'll just discuss.
yeah. We would be reducing line 3778 from its current budgeted amount of $70,000 down to $45,000, which would be a reduction of $25,000. And then taking from that, we would be moving $3,000 and increasing line 1533, Cat TV, from 12,000 to 15,000. There would still be a reduction in economic count of $22,000. So let's try to take these one at a time. First, I haven't heard, you can't have two motions on the floor. I made the motion. There was no second for it. So now I will go with the second motion. Is there a second on Councilor Dumeay's motion?
Second.
Seconded by Councilor Higgins. Any council discussion on the reduction of line 3778, economic development, from the current $70,000 down to 45,000? Councilor Higgins.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just want to say, I stand with the other counselors that we need to show and respect what the community wants by having Cat TV. They've expressed it over and over again. So we should be putting the money in there. Just to say, we're hearing you and we support it.
Okay, right now, I'm just, the reduction of line 3778 by $25,000. This is the first motion that was made. I want to know if there's any more discussion on this. It's been motioned and second to reduce that line. Is that your second, Councilor Higgins, as well, to reduce that line by 25,000?
Yes.
Okay, so it's been motioned and seconded. I'm looking for council discussion on that line and that line alone. Councilor Pelletier.
Weren't you the one that suggested reducing that line?
I wanted to reduce it by $20,000, back to the original 50.
25. I see.
I know you were. All right, so the motion on the floor is to reduce that line by $25,000. Any further council discussion? From the public? Back to the council. All those in favor? Opposed? That would be me. All right. 6-1. All right, now, Councilor Dumeay, would you like to make your second motion?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I would like to make a motion to increase line 1533 from 12,000 to 15,000, an increase of 3,000.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion made by Councilor Dumeay, second by Councilor Higgins. Council discussion on the motion. From the public. Yes.
Where we haven't or where you were, sorry, Bruce Levis,
Okay,
72
certainly.
Millinocket, where Spectrum has taken over, as you said, we haven't really, or you really haven't discussed anything with Spectrum.
Right.
I would prefer to wait to see what the discussion brings, because Spectrum may say, we're not going to pay you 6,000 or 12,000 a year, we're going to pay you 10,000, or they may decide to bring it up to 15,000, wanting, maybe something better from what we have. I'm not sure, but I think it was a good idea. I think Chairman said to wait till we discuss with the Spectrum what their seeable. Thank you.
Thank you. We're going to Mr. Manager, and then I'll go to Councilor Pelletier.
Sure. So the multi-year agreement that was, that is contractual through Beeline originally has been approved and taken over by Spectrum. So it's not necessarily a new discussion anytime in the near future. It's something that I'm sure we can reach out and request to reconsider that contract, but it is a multi-year agreement that was transferred and signed by all three parties, moving it from Beeline to Spectrum, involving approval from the council to transfer that from one entity to another. So, it's really not up for discussion right now with
Mhm.
Spectrum, and it won't be a new contract for several years, to my understanding.
Council Pelletier.
Yeah, that's a very good point, that they may not want to open the terms of the contract. And if they do, then it could be like Bruce has mentioned, could go either way with them. They could,
Mhm.
you know, want to debate it. But I think we put money in it, shows that we're serious about improving the process. And that, maybe they'll be likely to add some. Thank you.
Council Dume.
Thank you. Councilors make a very good point. Manager, Mr. Manager, you make a good point as well. The worst case scenario, if they don't accept it, this would go into the unassigned fund balance, right? Unspent money would.
Yes. Yep, and then it's up to our administrative accounting to figure out where that is within the lines of the budget moving forward.
Right, thank you.
Okay, so if my figures are correct, that would reduce that line, the 2025 initial down to 80,480. Am I correct? Okay. All right, so on the motion to increase line 1533 Cat TV by $3,000 to 15,000. All those in favor? It's unanimous. All right, that was fun. Let's move on.
Mr. Chairman, we have different definitions of fun. All right, this is Department 0118, Community Initiatives. We are looking at a difference in this budget of $12,640 for a total department budget of $102,179.
Okay, any council comment or discussion? Council Higgins.
Yes, Mr. Manager. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Manager, can you explain for the public why the big increase in the office supplies, please?
Sure. So that's 2019 office supplies. That is substantial increase. The plan there is the bulk of that is one purchase. Our community initiatives director currently has a desk in a big room where people are in and out all day long for the mailboxes, postage machine, and other reasons. So what we're looking to do is purchase a cubicle type setup for that person, for that position, so that we can give them some privacy and an individual workspace within that larger room. And then, the office supplies for that line, similar to other lines, would go back to a smaller amount in the following years.
Thank you.
How many words can I say?
I don't know, but you're doing very well.
It's a linguistic.
Any other council comment on this department? To the public. Mr. Levitt. Name and address, please.
72 Rooster
Thank you.
Avenue, Illinois, 4621303.
Congratulations for being the person that knows the last four.
Bingo.
Yeah.
I didn't know it.
I'm not that for what. Yes, but. Small town,
Again, let's leave the she out of it. and talk
Well-
About the position.
I know it's hard to, you gotta remember the age group I grew up. So she.
I understand.
Yeah. I would negate the position and add those responsibilities to the town man. I know that's not a happy thing to do, but we are a small town. And we seem to have a few different people doing this and that.
Okay,
And again, I'm not sure
Okay, go
their
ahead.
responsibility.
Okay.
But I think the town manager could do them well. Thank you.
Okay. Uh, we have in the last cycle taken that temporary position, it was a temporary position, and moved it into a full-time position because it has been shown to be a necessity for the community if we are going to move forward. And it is, I think now, shown that it is needed within the community to move forward. Yes, Mrs. Sullivan.
Senator Sullivan, 104 Sunset Drive. This position is absolute necessary. I believe the town manager can correct my figure if I'm wrong. But she procured well over $1 million in grants for this town. Without those grants, our taxes would be going sky high. It's being supported by her. Thank you.
Thank you.
The actual number in 2 years is a little over $1.8 million. It's rounding up to $2 million over 2 years so far.
Okay, thank you. Any other council questions or discussion? Oh, I'm sorry. Public comment? Yes. Yep. Almost ran over here.
330 Congress Street. And again, Chairman's right. This is a position. We're not talking about
Thank you.
whether you're showing the position made 101.8 million or 1 million or 2,000. It don't matter whether we need the position to look forward to this town. And as people don't know either, like I said, last week, we were talking about maybe she could turn around and help the school. So this is a position that it's important,
Mhm.
whether who holds it or not. But I just trying to bring up that whatever this position brought in, that's their job to bring that in.
Mhm.
No, and the most important part is the position. You have to look at the position, whether it's good or bad, but as far as we see right now, because we made it permanent, that it is important for that position to move forward, do the town good.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other public comment? Seeing none? Let's move on.
The ARPA department is only reflective of ARPA funds we approve throughout the year. There's very little left. If we present an order in the near future before those expire, to use any of the remainder of that, that will be reflected in here.
Right.
Again, that's grant funding, so it's not reflected as an expected expense.
Okay. One thing I wanted to ask, Mr. Manager, the municipal building roof. I see that it's been taken out or spent. Is that the final payment on the roof repair that we did a while ago to take care of the roof? For the municipal building?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
That would be, that was when we repaired the front awning,
Mhm.
the top before the bottom fell out. And then the
Elevator.
elevator vestibule entrance there with the flat rubber membrane roof.
Thank you. Any council comments or questions? Public? Seeing none, let's move on.
0201, Police Department. The town of East Millinocket has presented us with an increase to go towards their salaries for attraction and retention of officers. This is the request was for $58,000. Contract's not finalized in this moment. But that is the increase that we are expected, that we do expect.
Any council questions or discussions on this line? Public? Seeing none, let's move on.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, Councilor Dumeay.
dare I ask for a 10-minute bathroom recess for the benefit of the people in attendance and the councilors? We are going into our second hour, and I know it's gonna be a lengthy evening. Happens every year, but if we could, that would be granted, that'd be great.
10-minute recess.
Thank you.
Any bottles of water downstairs?
Thank you, Diana. But the next one will put that. Yeah. They can explain ahead of time. Why, you know, office supply. Yeah. I made my notes.
No arguments. Council is zooming by.
Well, that's. All this. Yes, I did. I'm going to apologize. I did not send an email. I'm gonna do it first. I was like, just because I saw. I was actually down in Lewiston and I got it. I'm like, exactly. Yeah, I got stuff going back. But still, I enjoy this campaign. I mean, even though I have no problem with. Life is kids. I don't know. I think, I was buying hundreds that made 20, so that's good. No, it's 25, so that's good. No, it isn't. It's but, say, this is 7, it's for good cause, and that's not good. Yeah. You know, back to the days, so she was, you know. In fact, she had to think about the jangle. Oh, we're here. Yeah, the one to throw. But she plans on making well, you know, so I just laugh at her. So they're aware of now. You know, you're not playing out wrong. Okay. Yeah, yeah, you're gonna wear on. Okay. They'll all go in. Okay. She just wants to get. She don't know how long it's gonna be. It's on both. We're here to learn more. Said I talked to you. But I mean, I just bring it up. But I think it seems like going head to head in a problem.
A little bit, but I like it. I mean, this stuff that, that's the purpose of a public hearing, is to get,
These guys.
multiple sides.
With all the law rules and just. They're gonna say.
That's like the cat.
It's something that the community wants. And like I said, it's. To improve that. Approve the, maintenance or lot added, that's just, but some of that just. Understand. They'll just go back to the. Yeah, I'm trying to get to council staff, some sort of. Right. That's something I said. That's what I usually, is see confusion, then I'll. I'm hoping not. I'm hoping. Like Jessica. You brought it up. You ready for halftime?
Halftime, we're not even out of the first quarter. Jeez, holy God.
All I gotta do is tell them to shut up. And look, go past.
Oh. Both, I remember when goalie did it, he didn't need wait for anything. It was like, all right. Line so-and-so, department so-and-so and so-and-so, any comment? No? Okay, move on.
We got a question on how I need to broach this.
How you, what?
How I need to broach this. Okay, because I have the expenses.
Okay.
So, what we also.
We'll see a loss. We'll see, the airport, we will see. The losses are. Believe it or not, every year, the losses and the revenues are getting closer together. So I mean, it's actually come down quite a bit.
I mean, just like, and we need the airport, I think. 100%. I just, we need to find a way
To try to make that equate a little
So
easier.
I broke that during the revenue portion? Or the expense?
The expense,
Okay.
the expense portion, because the revenue portion is generated by sales and everything. So those are fixed costs. So,
And I talked to the manager, he knows.
so, but I would approach that, and I would honestly approach that in the expense line rather than the revenue.
Okay, and that's, I wanted to figure out.
Yep.
But we do. Get it for something.
Oh, do. I know. And you know what? We got another one of these next, but fortunately, that's a. All right, if we can get everybody in here, we can reconvene.
No, I went with Coke tonight instead of water.
You might have been the smart one.
Oh, sure, the chief went to Dunkin' Donuts. They're gonna have to order. Jane will.
All righty. I so love after this is all completed and we go back to being just regular town councilors and just do regular council stuff. Uh-huh. Alrighty, I'm just waiting on the manager now. We'll get started again. Ain't this fun, Lou? Yeah.
Just, I want you to know if the manager actually get some research done, all the works and what we're gonna need for paving, because I know that.
How much, yeah.
Because if I can. If it's, I know most of you guys are 500,000,
Mhm.
but I'm gonna ask for 475, if it's within.
I would go, I wouldn't be able to support it. I want to go, the 500,000 is where it's gotta be.
Support it.
Yeah, it's gotta, the 500,000 is where it's, for paving is where it's gotta be. If we start backtracking back on it now, we'll never.
Then don't.
the biggest,
I'm just gonna
like I say,
introduce it.
yeah, the biggest complaint, like I say, I hear over and over and over again, taxes and paving, we get one out of the two.
But if I ask the question, he
Sure.
gets to answer it, then
Yep.
it's out there.
Right. Mhm. Okay. Okay. Let's reconvene, this public hearing for the, 2025 budget. Mr. Chair, Mr. Manager, we are, I believe we're at 0203, the fire department now.
Fantastic. Welcome to season 1, episode 2, page 18, 0203 fire department. This department is expecting a difference of $28,102. For a total department budget of $97,219.
Any council questions or comments? Seeing none, public? Seeing none, let's move on.
Page 19, 0204 ambulance. This department is expecting an increase of $29,257 for a total department budget of $243,528.
Council question or comment? Down to the public? Seeing none, let's move on.
Page 20, 0205 fire and ambulance general budget. This is showing a difference of $190,448 for a total department budget of $1,034,806.
Thank you. Any council comment, questions? Down to the public? Seeing none, let's move on.
Page 21, 0206 is community services. These are pretty well set rates. For our hydrant and rentals, that's for access to the hydrants throughout the year. That's set by Maine Water Company, and the streetlights is basically a power bill for those, and that is set by Versant. Total difference we're expecting is $21,182 for a total budget there of $584,182.
Any council questions or comments? Yeah, Council Higgins.
I know it's set by them, but on line 4401, Is there any way that can be renegotiated? Is there anything, I mean, that's an awful lot of money that we have to spend yearly to, just to have access to be able to use those hydrants. I mean, our public works clears them out during the winter. I mean, I know we have no control over it.
Right.
But that honestly, for just to be able to use it if needed, kind of outrageous, at least meter them or something. I mean, there's gotta be some other way to do it.
Yeah, well, the town did have the opportunity to own the water company years ago, and passed up on that opportunity. So the monthly bill for that went from about $39,000
41.
recently to, yeah, over 41,000.
Yep.
I have discussed that couple of times in opposition with the water company. In terms of, them approaching to charge us more for, some of the uses that we do use the hydrants for, including the flusher truck, or even to water the trees at Veterans Park, once along the way. They've been great to deal with in those scenarios and have, backed away from those additional charges. If the council would like me to, I'm certainly, I have a direct line to their vice president. He's my contact for their company. I'm happy to do a little more research and digging to see if there's some sort of break they can give us on that.
All set?
Yes, thank you.
Uh,
Would be good.
would, until such time that any type of clocks were done or anything else, so we unfortunately, we are stuck with this line as it is. So, any other council comment or discussion?
I would, sorry, can I jump in? real
Certainly.
quick? Public Works Superintendent is on and had put some, comments in the chat there. We don't read those out loud during the meeting, but I'd see if he wants to turn his camera and mic on and share those
Certainly.
thoughts.
Yep.
Good evening, everyone. I just wanted to
evening.
say that the Public Works does not clear out the hydrants in the winter. The water company does that themselves.
Okay. Yep.
Thanks
Thank you,
for that.
Brian.
Thank you.
Any other comments? Yes. You gotta have the touch.
Tom Malcolm, 73 School Street. For Councilor Higgins's question, a few years back, I think it was under Manager Davis. We went to the UPC, see if we could get something done about that. And we were flatly told, no.
Yep.
You want protection, you have to pay. Was not happy, but that's what it is. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Tom Malcolm, and he lives on. Oh, he did? I'm sorry, I missed it. My bad.
Mr. Levitt.
Been a long day.
Bruce Levitt, 72 Rooster Avenue, Millinocket. I notified Peter, I think it was must be a year and a half ago because of the rate increase, and I've been on their list for rate increases, and the town was involved in trying to stop those rate increases, and I'm not sure how much council is aware of that. And with the PUC, I know I got one packet, it must have been 5 inches thick. So, I can't remember the guy's name, but the public advocate. And town's lawyer was involved, I was involved, a couple other people were involved. Appealing those decisions, and it was appealed all the way to Superior Court try and get a reduction in cost. Cause, and I'm not sure why they call it the PUC, because we never have any luck with the public part of it, so bill, but, the town did, as well as the rest of us, try to get those rates decreased, and like I said, going to court, the town and myself and others, just, you just don't have any luck in Superior Court with trying, whether it's electric, whether it's water, or whether it's something else, have any luck with this, but just, for a matter of information, we tried, so just didn't have any luck.
Thank you very much. I've testified in front of the PUC probably 4 times for hikes in water. And was told one time that they needed the rate hike because we didn't use enough. Once the mill went down, they raised the rates considerably within the town of Millinocket because the mill was down, they weren't using the water. We weren't using enough water, so they had to get it. That's the mentality of them, and they were successful. So, anybody else? Let's move on.
All right.
That horse is dead.
0208 is an unused department in our budget. Page 23 breaks us into the third of our budget. We are approaching, we finished the first third of the budget. Insurances 0209, these are our insurances we pay, for our insurance coverage. We have been notified that the increase for those insurances is $9,145, for a total bill of $119,290.
Any council comment, questions? Public? Seeing none, let's move on.
This is another blank department within our budget. Bringing us to page 25. This is enforcement officials. We are looking at a difference of $4,077, for a total budget of $11,160.
Any council comments, questions? Down to the public? Seeing none, let's move on.
This is 0214 dog constable. This is our dog constable. This is what, oh man, is it late? This is our animal control officer. This salary is reflected of the 4% increase. Total difference is $646 in the department. Total department cost of $15,616.
Any council comments or questions? Seeing none from the public? Seeing none, let's move on.
0215 is another one that is unused. Page 28, fringe benefits, 0300. These are, as we've gone over in the past, related to mustering out upon retirement. We are expecting to pay out $48,255.
Any questions or comments? From the public? Seeing none, let's move on.
Page 29, this is the Public Works Administration, 0402. We're looking at a difference of $12,498. Total budget, $125,948.
Any questions or comments? Public? Yes.
I see on. You know which line it is, then, why is it?
Bruce, we need you to say your name.
Oh, sorry, Bruce
Address.
Levis, 72 Rooster. I have to get a little. On the 9200, is there a reason for that? I know you were going 5,004%, but that looks a little higher. Is that because? I'm not sure when his job changed from mechanic to public works.
So again, you know, this is this is a reiteration of all of the salary discussions. Also referring to the position, not necessarily the person. This is the same reasoning. This is an adjustment in salary that gets this position to a competitive rate of what these positions are going at these in this day and age.
Okay, yep.
You're
Thank
welcome.
you. Anyone else? Seeing none, let's move on.
Um, 0403 garage maintenance. There are a couple of things that need to be taken care of up there this year. And we're expecting, you know, increase on, electricity, water, sewer for that facility. The difference we are looking at is $4,500, total budget of 38,500.
Any questions, comments? Public? Seeing none, let's move on.
This one specifically notes do not use, and we take those orders very seriously. All right, 0403, Public Works, Roads and Construction. This one bleeds into a second page. I'll do what I can here to show as much as possible, but without going too small, it's not really possible. So, this was a discussion last week. We increased the paving budget at the request of council. That's coming in at $500,000 and lots of potential to get quite a bit done with that. We're looking at a total difference in that department of $179,048. And the total budget there is $1,513. Nope, $1,513,546.
Questions, comments? Counselor Dume.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Going off in our discussion, like you said, the last few weeks at the workshops, Mr. Manager, you said that there may be an effort between you and Public Works to discuss exactly kind of where you needed to be with flexibility in that paving line in 2011 that got increased to 500,000. Have you had a chance to have those discussions with the Public Works or gather some figures that would closer reflect what was actually needed?
Yeah, well, we spoke yesterday, and I know Brian's on, and please jump in and correct me if I misspeak. But I think that the list that was proposed, we feel with this amount of money, it's safe that we may be able to do the entirety of that list. At the previous rate, we may not have been. But again, that's all going to depend on the final price per ton that we are able to get, and the location we're able to get it. We're able to get it in East Millinocket at a decent rate, then we'll be able to do as much as possible. Well, no matter where we are, we're able to do as much as possible, but we may be able to do more. Brian has raised his hand. I'm gonna allow him to jump in and cut me off.
Brian Dupre, the Public Works Director. The East Monocket plant may or may not have an effect on our price. We can't dictate where our contractor gets his asphalt. They make their own in Bangor, so there's a good chance that's where it's going to be coming from. And as far as the list goes, I think that 500 will get close to everything, but again, we can work with whatever you guys allot for us to work with.
Thank you, Brian.
And we did go over that list in its entirety last week.
Right.
It's a fair chunk.
Counselor DeMay, you still have your hand up?
I do, but does anybody else have anything to add?
Personally, I think there's two things that happen in the town of Millinocket that people complain about most: taxes and roads. Taxes, again, wouldn't you love to be the great guy to be able to say, okay, we're gonna go ahead and do a lot to reduce taxes? It's hard to do, but roads we can. Each year, we've managed to go ahead and increase our paving contract to be able to do more roads. We did nothing during the early parts of when the mill went flat. And we relied on a $45,000 coal patch to go fix what potholes we could. I think we owe the citizens of the town of Millinocket the ability to try to go ahead and get as many roads paved as we possibly can within this budget. And I think $500,000 goes a long way to be able to do just that. And I think if we can manage to get the majority of even what's on that list, I think that's a tremendous start moving forward. We did a great job last year. Moving on to this year, I'd like to keep that momentum going and see if we can get as much done as we can. That's my thought. Anyone else? Yes, Mr. Manager.
Sorry, last week, Counselor Higgins brought up a suggestion of adding Central Street to that mix. I was reminded over the last week that,
State Highway.
yeah, well, correct. But the DOT, the Maine Department of Transportation, was awarded a substantial CDS request.
Right.
Congressionally directed spending, so they do have it in their work plan. I forget how far it reaches, but it starts at the Central Street and Katahdin intersection and extends out of the town line. So I think we're gonna see a bulk of that be repaved in the next year. And of course, beyond that, they have intentions to go the rest of the way from
Bless you.
that intersection at Katahdin and Central, out around Bate Street and out towards the lake. Part of that is in partnership with us in that initiative that we are part of. Brian again has his hand raised to help me out with some of that information. I'll welcome him to unmute.
Yeah, me again. I'm looking at the list that I gave you, and I just wanted to talk about the sidewalk stuff. Some of that, I have been looking for grants to do that. So the sidewalks on Katahdin Avenue, I might not do anything with that this summer. So just so there's no hurt feelings on if that doesn't get done after you guys have seen this list. That might be a project for a later date.
Okay.
The biggest reason is sidewalks are very expensive because they're labor intensive.
Right.
You can do streets a lot cheaper than you can do sidewalks. I was looking for grants to work on that.
I wish you luck, Brian.
Thank you.
And Counselor DeMay.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Well, I know that I have a dog in this that doesn't hunt, but I'm gonna introduce it anyway. I am for more paving, of course. Last year, I was the counselor that increased it by 100,000. So I do appreciate and value and do think that it's super important. But I'm gonna introduce a motion to bring it down to 475,000. I don't expect any support, but I'm gonna make that motion in an effort to sincerely decrease, to try to make this budget as flat as possible. So thank you.
I will second that.
Motion made by Counselor DeMay, second by Counselor Danforth.
For the same purpose, for the same reason, to try to get to a flat budget. I think that can be a way to do it.
It's, again, I would make the comment that it is this is a hot button item for the town, and I tend to agree with it, that we need to do as much paving as we possibly can. Counselor Higgins.
Thank you, Chairman Dwar. I think that that's a $25,000 difference. I think there's other ways we can make that up to make this budget flat.
Counselor Mack, can you want to chime in on this? Okay.
Okay. We're gonna do a little quick math over here to tally up what other decreases have been
Okay.
suggested to get a
Get an
rough
idea.
number.
37,480, 37,980.
It's good.
He is. All right, so there's been a motion made and a second. Any other discussion? I'll call for the vote. All those in favor of the motion? Opposed? To reduce the, just let me find it here. So it was the paving line, which was 2011. To reduce the amount, which is $500,000 by 25,000, to bring it down to 475,000. And it was made by Councilor Dumaine, second by Councilor Danforth. You're very welcome. Again, all those in favor? Opposed? It's defeated 2-5. Anybody else on this line? Ms. Sullivan first and then Mr. Levitt.
Hi, Sandra Sullivan, 104 Sunset Drive. I did my own scientific agenda on this line. I went to Facebook
Oh, God.
and I asked the citizens of Millnocket. I was a little surprised. There was not one single person that objected to the increase of 500,000. Not one.
Told you.
I'm for it.
But the discussion had been at the other meetings, paving Peddler's Hill and some portion of a sidewalk or something on Jerry Pond.
Mhm.
They were absolutely opposed to that. Sidewalks was number one. Every single response said the sidewalks in this town are abominable. They need work first, then the roads. If you have any money left over after every road and every sidewalk is fixed, then Peddler's Hill would be nice. There was no one that commented on Jerry Pond. Now, that wasn't everyone in Millnocket. That was probably 25 or 30 people responded, but that's how they feel.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Levitt.
Bruce Levitt, 72 Aroostook Avenue, Millnocket, Maine. How did this? Well, I didn't see the survey, or I might have gone a little different. There are a lot of sidewalks, a lot of roads. You're not going to make everyone happy. But what I would say on the asphalt line is, with what's going on in the Middle East, and a lot of people don't realize with, especially either coal patch or hot top, that it involves wood. And we know what oil is happening. Oil, I looked, I think today, and I think, gas station has gone up 10 cents yesterday or today. So as a council or as a town, we want to be well aware with the asphalt budget and the coal patch budget that oil is going to have a significant effect on that budget. So you could have a $500,000 budget or $1 million budget, but if oil goes to $100 a barrel or $125 a barrel, you know, you could end up two roads or two sides. So, it's just a good thing to be aware that we want to keep an eye on oil, and that's not just the asphalt budget as far as oil budget, but so, need to keep a careful eye out.
I don't disagree. Anyone else? Seeing no one, let's move on.
We're gonna move to 350409 transfer site. This one bleeds into the top of the second page. Looking at a difference here of $45,614. Total budget, 500. Yep, $516,456.
Okay,
That includes, you know, a couple of heavy hitters on, you know, basically maintenance and repairs that have been put off for a while and that we need to take care of. It's a bulk of that.
any council comments or questions? Down the public? Yes,
Well, I've got 72 Roost Avenue, Norwalk, Maine. Are the prices on class 6 glass probably all down, but
Mhm.
you know, I haven't seen a lot since we went through the COVID stuff and everything like that, a lot of information on recycling. I know some are recycling, but I think, I'm not saying go extravagant on advertising or whatever, but I haven't seen a lot since the COVID issue over, and I think
yep. Our manager has done more than one of his mud water on recycling. And we have gone ahead and had signs out to the transfer site to remind people to, recycling is back in, we have it again. And not to put cardboard and whatever into the hopper. So
In our newsletters and Facebook and, you know,
Yep.
newspaper and
Yep.
all that.
there has been, we put quite a bit of information out. It's just a matter of getting the public, shall I say, retrained.
We've yet to profit from it.
Yes. But I do agree with you. Any other comments on this line? Seeing none, let's move on.
We're at the library, 0501. This is a contractual increase of $25,000. Looking at a total budget there of $150,000.
Any questions or comments? Let's, down to the public, I'm sorry. Seeing none, let's move on.
All right. We're next looking at debt and interest 0700. This had a pretty good decrease on it of $32,469. This has a total of $107,204.
Questions, comments? Public? Let's move on. Let's go through a few pages.
Hey.
It's about time we started picking up speed. 0815?
We're gonna trim some fat, so to speak, in this, over this next year and
Oh, I think it's,
produce a much more condensed budget for FY26, I promise you. This next budget is general assistance 0815. We expect no changes there, $17,150.
Questions, comments? Public? Let's move on.
Page 46, Public Health and Welfare, 0816. We are expecting a decrease there of $7,385. Difference, total budget of $5,415.
Any council comments?
Yes.
Council Danforth?
Yes. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I noticed that the donation line was reduced to 3,000 and previous budget, it was 10,000. And the fact that we do give donations to Eastern Area Agency on Aging, Penquist, CHCS, sometimes Bobby's Gardens, different things, I would propose that we put another $5,000 to bring that donations line at least up to 8,000. It looks like year to date, we spent just under 8,000. And so I would be comfortable with that number so that we can continue to support those efforts in the coming year.
Can I just,
Motion made by council,
the number from the FY24 budget shown, is reflective of individual requests that were made throughout the year that were not budgeted for, and includes some like the Historical Society and other things that were done throughout the year as one-time hits. That $3,000, it would be the, I think that's the line that I have to donate from, is that one? Yeah. So you're certainly welcome to increase that, but it would be still something that would be addressed individually through council order. When you're talking about those larger donations there, we've done them as one-time hits.
So when you
so
say,
far.
excuse me, when you say larger donations, they've been like 1,500, 2,000, is that what you consider the larger donations when they've been?
Yeah,
requested?
my threshold from the administrative office is $500. So anything above that comes to the council. And when we've received those requests, it's more often than not been taken from like unassigned fund balance, not to take away from the balance of the administrative donation line. So the accounting process for that is to take it from the unassigned fund balance and feed it through there to then cut the check from that line.
So to get away from the practice of going to the unassigned fund balance, but actually budgeting for it, we should include it in the budget.
That is correct.
there's a motion. And a second, Councilor Dume, go ahead.
Right, and I support Council Danforth on this motion. I agree with her and the manager where if they're budgeted items, I like that process better than taking from the unassigned fund balance and then putting it in. So I think this is cleaner. I like the idea.
Anyone else?
Would you consider a separate line for that?
I'm going, Councilor Danforth. since
Sure.
you-
Well, I'm
For
thinking,
accounting purposes, if that's what you need, I noticed it was zero, like there's a page before or two that said donation. Should it go on that?
it
that-
could. I mean, if you want to direct us to figure that out, we certainly can. I think for the work that we do, it would be easier to have two separate lines. You know, I have one line under my discretion, and then we could have this line for those donations above my threshold that would come towards the council.
That would be fine.
Be my suggestion.
Sure.
All right, so I just need the line number that you're talking about.
Well, they're going to create a new line, it sounds like.
All right, okay.
But purchase is 4043 Department 0816 Public Health Welfare.
Okay.
So you'll create a new line,
We'll create a
new line,
new line and
$5,000.
Put $5,000.
$5,000.
Okay, so the motion's been made and it's been seconded. Any other council discussion? Down to the public. Back to the council, all those in favor? It's unanimous. Bless you.
All right. Page 47, 0902 cemetery. looking at a difference of $11,497. Total budget $76,837.
Any council discussion? Questions? Public? Seeing none, let's move on.
This is page 48, 1002 recreation. Rec department budget is only expected to change by $4,731. For a total budget of $207,986.
Any questions, comments? Down the public? Seeing none, let's move on. It's another one of those jump aheads, isn't it?
We are getting to page 52. 1009 snow sled ATV. A lot of this is pass through. We heard from John Raymond earlier from Timber Cruisers, that they are expecting a different number. It'll be a increase of 15,000 that we'll look at, adjusting and understanding a little better between now and next week. But in its current format, we're looking at an increase in funding there of $44,220. Total budget $133,500.
Any council discussion? Down the public? Seeing none, let's move forward.
Page 54 of 62. Look at that. We're getting pretty close.
We're getting there.
1101 airport operations. Total difference of $11,589. Total department budget $202,386.
Okay, any council discussion? Down to the public. Seeing none? Let's move on.
Page 55, airport business, 1102. We're looking at a difference of $5,200. Total budget $85,600.
Again, any council discussion? Questions? Councillor Higgins?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm going to combine, if you want, previous with 54 and 55. Looking at the airport operations and combining the airport business. So you've got airport operations is an expense. You're showing of 202,386. The airport business is 85,600. But, and I'm bringing it up now because we're in the expense side of it. And then looking at the revenues. For airport business, I'm seeing 112,780,
Yes.
which, and we know that every year shows a loss. It shows a loss of $175,206.
Mhm.
Is there anything that we can do to get that gap closer together?
We can keep making it a better airport. You know, the idea for town to run an airport as a business, you know, it's not common to hit zero. It's more often than not that a town comes in at a loss for offering that as a service. And what I learned today is that even if we do break even and come to $1 of profit, the federal regulation is that it must be reinvested into that airport specifically, so it won't necessarily provide revenue that'll offset our
Right.
tax raise. But yeah, I mean, we're the developments that are at play right now with the clearing of land for more hangar rentals where there's quite a bit of expressed interest in building and renting or building and maintaining more hangars over there. The expansion of the taxiway and then other leases that'll be taking place over there will certainly add more revenue to that and get us, it'll increase even over this next year
Right.
with those developments. That number will increase. I don't know how by how much. But you know, taking over the space that was recently or is being vacated by West Branch Aviation. You know, some of that company's clientele will now be renting from us directly, which will be more of a revenue than what the lease was for the town. So we have some expectations in the next year that that revenue will increase. We just don't know by how much. So this is still kind of modest.
Thank you. I very much approve of the airport. We do need the airport.
Sure.
But I was just trying to say, we need to try to get that closer together. I mean, that's $175,000 loss.
Yeah.
A lot of money.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And you know, the investments, like the investments that are being made, a lot of them are at 5 cents on a dollar because of the federal funding that we have access to. So, you know, for minor investments, the return is pretty substantial. When you're talking about, you know, let's say $100,000 investment that we pay $5,000 for out of pocket, and the return that that brings from, you know, potential new hangar leases and with that comes new taxable property, real estate and personal on the hangar and the contents of it. Yeah, I think the next year or two over there with just the projects that are happening are gonna work towards what you're talking about.
Sounds good to me.
And Jeff, if I'm missing anything or misspeaking, please feel free. All right. Well, I'm an airport
Recognize-
expert now.
I'd know you anywhere. Okay. Can I get Councilor Dume first and then I'll talk to
Come
Jeff?
on up, Jeff. I'm gonna.
All
It's a brief thing. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, for recognizing me. I really appreciate your question because I just got educated. I did not realize that. I realized that we operated at a loss oftentimes, but I did not realize that that was a regular thing that is across municipalities all across Maine. And I did not realize that the FDA. FAA, sorry. Ooh, it's on my brain. Probably everybody's, but the FAA, I didn't realize that they had that regulation either. So that's
Learned that
interesting.
today.
So it's a business operation that's not really intended to
Be profitable.
be profitable. In essence, or else there's, right, so I appreciate, and I'm sure the public appreciates that explanation, because I had never heard that before. So I think, yes, the goal to close the gap as much as possible is respectable. So thank you both for asking and answering.
Jeff Campbell, Airport Manager, and that's exactly the case. When this budget was first put together, we created this department as a town department. Everybody had contracted services for airports. I was a contractor. 6 years I contracted with Tony Cesare to run the airport now. But stipends kept growing and growing because the profit margin was so narrow that a business model was not making any money. Now, an airport is a very important part of our community. In fact, communities that have gone through what we have gone through, the ones that succeed are the ones that have an airport moving forward. Those towns that reinvent themselves and move forward, the airport is the biggest tool they have. So, the budget, when it was first designed, everything was either expense or revenue. So the previous treasurer and I decided that we should separate out the business. So if you look at the business side of this, I'm spending $82,000 and I'm bringing back 120 round numbers. So I am making a profit. Everything that I spend to resell, I'm making what I'm supposed to make. And that's what you tasked me to do. Now, other sources of revenue, hangar rental, stuff like that, that doesn't have a cost to it, other than say our insurance or our utilities or whatever that has a cost. Those are the items that I'm now working on, that you've tasked me to work on. Hangars being built, runways being expanded so we can sell more fuel. All of these things are building towards bringing that number to zero. And the FAA affords us this money, as the manager said, at 5 cents on a dollar, so that we can do these projects. And their grant assurance is that anything that goes above zero in the total budget has to be reinvested. That's part of the grant assurance system. That is, and that's law.
Okay.
So, okay.
Thank you. Council Pelletier.
Yeah. The point that we're losing $175,000 owning that airport kind of gets lost with me when you're considering hundreds of millions of dollars of assets there. And the trickle down economy that you're not seeing of business people coming down into town and doing business is growing this town.
Right.
So well worth $175,000 a year.
Any further council comment? From the public? Let's move on.
All right. Department 1106, holiday observation and events. We are expecting this to be flat, $20,000. That includes our fireworks, our events committee, funding for organization of events. That line does include the scholarships that we give out. And then other town committees have access to that $3,000. So
Yeah.
total of 20,000 there.
Any council comments? From the public? Seeing none, let's move on. Oh, my favorite
Yay,
line.
look at that. Our county tax is up $50,673. So our total tax bill to Penobscot County is $358,138.
Any council comment on this line? Yeah,
Do you think they'll
To the
put a
public.
lien on us if we don't pay?
seeing none, let's move on.
Brian, don't quote me on that. All right. We are at capital improvement. So I'm gonna take this opportunity to switch documents right now. This is one that we didn't bring with us last week. Council should have fresh copies of that up there. This is a list of the expected projects over this next year. The airport fuel system upgrade, this is one of the types of gas that we sell over there. The company that provided the system to us, I believe, is no longer in operation entirely, so we can't have it serviced. We need to have it replaced.
Does our
Yes.
gas?
Yep, and so we need to change the system we use to sell that. That's the cost. So Public Works, we're looking at repairs to the gravel screen. The next few are ones we're looking at potential of taking care of in this year, so we'll try to finalize that over the next week. Utility trailer repairs to one of the buckets on the loader. We need to sandblast and paint one of the trucks to give it some more longevity. And then to refurbish one of our two of our plow trucks hydraulic systems.
Okay.
The recreation department is going to replace one of the dugouts at baseball field, over at the rec complex. It's currently crumbling. And we have a good quote on that to get it done in this capital budget. Fire and ambulance needs some thermal imaging equipment. And then, of course, we always build in a $10,000 contingency for basically for wiggle room if any of those prices change throughout the year. For general fund capital improvements. Budget of $184,000. And we talked about the wastewater for capital budget earlier.
Yep. Any questions or comments? Public? Seeing none, let's move on.
All right. Page 59, special capital improvements. This is all stuff that had been grant funded. We don't have anything built in there right now, but if we do grant funding improvement projects throughout the year, they will be reflected in this at a later date.
Any questions or comments? Seeing none, let's move on.
We are on the last page.
Yep.
So we're looking at a difference overall. Well, you know, some of this isn't really because of the difference in the showing and not showing of grant funding. I'm gonna skip the difference. I'm gonna say that our total budget as presented tonight was $8,024,587. So far this evening, we have cut from we had an increase about 98,000. So far, the tally for cuts tonight was $67,980. So we're much closer to zero, and Bev and I are gonna take a look on Monday to see what we might be able to do to get that flat.
Okay. Excellent. Ah, What do you
On
think?
to revenues.
What do you think?
We've got another 40 pages to go through. All right. You guys ready? You need to,
Absolutely.
Snack or
No,
anything?
let's,
all right,
let's plow through.
here we go. Time me. Page 1, general government. Total expected anticipated revenue here, $2,491,221.
Questions or comments? From the public? Let's move on. Oh, I like those pages.
Page 4, town works department. Total anticipated revenue here, $971,950.
Any questions?
Bruce, you'll see if you look at 0122, it says WWADM fees. That's the reflection of that $8,000 we talked about earlier.
Okay. Any questions or comments? Seeing none, let's go.
Page 5, assessing. Total anticipated revenue, $755,349.
Any questions or comments? Let's go.
Page 6, municipal building. These are some rents that are paid to us for use of our facility. Total anticipated revenue, $62,740.
Any questions or comments? The public? Seeing none, let's go. Crack that whip.
Page 7, planning code and development. Total anticipated revenues, $7,000. I think this is very modest. There are just too many unknowns to really guarantee something higher.
Any comments, questions? Public? Seeing none, let's move on.
Economic development, this is the revenue reflection of the TV station pass-through, as well as the loan payments that our Katahdin makes to us on behalf of that mortgage we hold for them. So anticipated revenue here, 116,700, nope, $116,676.
Any questions or comments? Let's move on.
This one's blank. Blank. Fire department, we are building in, these are, stipends and grants. Again, I think this is, pretty modest compared to what we may see over the year. We just don't have the data to really reflect that yet. This will be a learning year here. We have it built in at $10,000 of revenue.
Questions or comments? Seeing none, down to the public? No, let's move on.
0204 ambulance. Total anticipated revenue, very similar discussion to the page above. $377,500.
Questions, or comments? Down to the public? Let's move on. Nice to know we.
You know,
generate
I'd
no
like to
revenue.
talk about how the town council doesn't
doesn't
bring in any
generate any
revenue.
revenue.
I think you need to pick up your game.
Really? Appreciate the fact that you're carrying our water. All right,
Complete with Grateful Dead stickers. All right.
all righty. So
Public Works Administration. This is the flusher truck reimbursement mainly, from what wastewater pays. That is revenue of $25,250.
council comment? Public? Let's move on.
Um, 0407, this is our assistance we get from the state to go towards pavement costs. It's $45,000.
We good? Let's move on.
Page 20, transfer site. Total anticipated revenue there, $122,500.
Questions, comments? From the public? Seeing none, let's move on.
This is an opportunity to pitch more people to recycle because we could get more revenue to feed this line. Should we eventually fill a trailer to actually sell the materials?
Maybe we should get those balloons that flop or anything like that. Put them outside the recycling building.
Flailing inflatable arm flailing tube man.
ARPA funds. Do ARPA funds.
Counselors can take turns standing out there.
Get you guys assigned to spin.
Yeah.
A green man costume. We are skipping all the way to page 28.
Mhm.
This is our 70% reimbursement from the general assistance program.
Okay.
$12,005.
You good? The public? Let's move on.
Blank. Cemetery, we are anticipating $20,000 of revenue.
Questions, comments?
Guys,
Seeing none, let's move on. I was gonna make a comment, but I just would have been bad. I see, I'm getting better.
Recreation, this one's showing a loss. We are not expecting Kids Peace to take advantage of use of the swimming pool like they had in the past. So that's a big old zero, decrease of $1,000.
Questions, comments? Seeing none, let's move on.
1009, snow sled ATV. Again, this is mostly pass-through stuff that's reflected on the expense side. Total anticipated here, $121,200.
Anyone? Public? Let's move on.
Airport business, 1102. Total anticipated revenue, which again will fluctuate throughout the year. We're losing the 0708 WBA lease, but the actual revenue from that will be higher than cost or the revenue from the lease itself. But the anticipated built into our budget is $112,780.
Any question, comment, Councilor Dume?
I have a question. It's just about the operations of the jet fuel. Do you set the rate or is it mandated rate set from somebody that sets the rate for jet fuels?
Jeff, if you would,
I think I think we set the rate.
we said it.
do?
We try to stay in line with others, I think, and
Is
as
it
long
the
as-
same with the rental situation? Like, you guys can adjust those or are those contractual? Do you guys sign a contract with people or? Okay. Right. Yeah, I was just, thank you. Okay.
But we can raise the coffee price.
sell more coffee. The fun fact that I learned along the way is, he mentioned covering the credit card fees, the cost to
Mhm.
for the transaction. Municipalities are like one of the only operations that are allowed to do that legally.
Really?
No, I was just asking in the vein of if there was an opportunity there to make a little bit more money.
Mm.
People that generally have jets have money, so. Thank you.
Congratulations, you're the only one I know that makes money on the jets. All right, any more on this?
That went from aviation to sports to music.
I see none. Let's move on.
Every other Thursday.
Let's move
Hey,
on.
I just want to get home before the fish live stream
Absolutely.
starts. They're at the Sphere in Vegas tonight. All right.
Holiday observation.
Apparently, I'm the only one that cares. All right. Holiday observations and events is 0. Not going to observe or have any events.
I'm already up to page 38.
We are page 38. Again, this is all grant stuff. That's not reflected, but when we spend throughout the year, it will be.
Okay.
So that's showing a 0.
Any council comment? Public? I see none. Let's move on. Nothing.
We're flipping right to the page 42. That's the last line.
Okay,
We're looking at a total anticipated revenue of $5,251,171.
last time offering. Any council comment? Public? We are done. Oh, yes, Mr. Levitt. Yeah, couldn't let it slide,
Get
could you?
one last word. didn't you?
You couldn't let it slide.
He's got 3 minutes.
He's got 3 minutes.
Scott Levitt, 330 Plymouth Street. I was just thinking, I should have said it a long time ago, but we're gonna pave the sidewalks and that. Tree belts should be considered in the budget somewhere this year or next year. I know usually it's our residents that's taking the grass out and that because the cars parked right where they shouldn't. I think that should be considered if we do sidewalk, make it look good. That we should do the tree belts in between. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else? Seeing none, looking for a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Motion made by Council McGowan, second by Council Higgins. Any council discussion? All those in favor? It's unanimous. No, opposed. 6-1. We're out of here. Thank you all.